Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to North Shore Live Cooper's Corner. We're live this evening. This is March the 27th, 2019. March, we're at the end of this is the third month, and we're at the end of it already. And we're going to start April pretty soon. And, if we didn't have it bad enough with snow, that's that word, April showers, I just hope we don't really get too much rain, because otherwise we will have a multitude of mud, and that's terrible to walk through. Anyway, I want to thank you for allowing us in your home or your place of business. We have a very good show for you this evening, and for those veterans out there that are looking for some direction on what to do, where to go, someone to help them or whatever. We have this very fine gentleman on the program. It is Scott Bitner, and Scott is with the Disabled American Veterans. Actually, I think you're the department commander.
Currently, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Scott's going to give us some information on what to do, where to go, receive some help, and maybe some cooking instructions.
You never know.
Listen, when you said 5,000, I could not be, in my wildest imagination. I know, how many meals does that, over 53 years, what does that do? Is that 5,000 meals?
That's a lot of meals. Yeah, the recipe cards are set up for 100, and then you multiply whatever you need. So if you're feeding 5,000 people
at one
setting, you do the math, and you cook in gigantic
I was going to say, really?
With big paddles.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
What's your best recipe for what?
Oh, for me, I always like doing goulash. It's a simple meal. People love it. Noodles,
meat,
ground beef.
Vegetables
a little bit. And the other favorite is, we call it SOS. It's chipped gravy on toast. And every military guy loves
Everybody
that.
Gets that.
Yeah, everybody loves that.
Chipped beef.
Chipped beef, yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope this evening will go splendidly, because you're a man of, great influence here to be able to be a department commander. I mean, you've seen military action. You've unfortunately been wounded, and now you're helping others to be able to find their way once, they get back and are deemed a veteran.
Correct.
Perhaps they don't know. They might have PTSD. They may have an injury of some sort, and they just don't feel that they want to be bothered with all this, paperwork. So, what's your best, info for military veterans coming back, that they shouldn't lose that hope or feeling of need to get, going again? They go overseas, they come back into our society, but this civilization isn't ready for someone who's seen combat,
Right.
Combat veterans.
Many veterans, when we go into service, no matter what branch it is, we're trained to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
But when that service is over, we don't have a retraining to come back in to the civilian world that we have once lived in, like everyone else. And the longer you in, the more things change for you. Sure, you have your wife, your family, if you're married, and your friends that you're with, but those are like-minded people. But you come back into the situation, you're going back, you're going to look for a job, you're going to work somewhere. You don't have certain skills. If you've been in the Marine Corps, and if you're an 0311, that means you're a rifleman, a grunt. You've been on the ground. You're unfortunately out, clearing homes and what have you, in a combat zone, shooting, that stuff. Or you could be a cook on a ship. You could be someone that's a flight crew on an airplane. for the Air Force, firefighters on ships.
Yeah.
So there's all these jobs. Some of those don't compute right back into the real world. And then, you know, if you're a little bit lost, one of the best things to do is go on USA Jobs, do a resume. It's called a resume finder. You plug in your MOS. Everybody has a military job,
Yeah.
and with that is a number associated. So you plug that in, and just for instance, an 0311, which is a military or as an infantryman.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs that'll come up for you, policemen automatically.
Yeah.
You know, so you can apply for police jobs. You know, if you have the skill sets, because military, you know, they teach you that. So what you want to do is convert your skill sets to look for work. Working for the federal government's a beautiful thing. It's steady work. You don't get rich by any means. However, it's good income, and after 30 days, you got full health care benefits for you, your
Yep.
family. And then if you're the veteran who's suffering from some malady, you can be injured several ways. You can be wounded. You can be hurt in a training exercise. You can fall off the ladder doing your job.
Yep.
You can be in a galley. You get cut. You know, I mean, anything can happen. So you want to always hook up with what we call a veteran service officer in a veteran service organization, such as the DAV, who I represent.
Yeah.
You have the Veterans of Foreign Wars, AMVETS, Purple Hearts. There's several of them out there. And if you work closely with one of those representatives who are considered a chapter service officer, like myself, I'm a chapter service officer. Our DAV national service officers give us 8 hours of annual training every year, and that keeps us up on the new laws. And then we train throughout the year. We have information seminars and things of that, just to keep us fresh, because the laws in the VA change constantly.
Oh, they change. Yeah, I know.
They
change.
change constantly. The forms change constantly.
Yep.
So, you know, our job is to meet the veteran in the field, talk with them, make them feel at ease what they're doing. We sit down, first we verify with their DD-214 to make sure their service was honorable, that what they're saying is what it was. And then we ask them, you know, what is your health problem? What is your health
Yeah.
concern? And then we ask them for certain things that we put onto the forms. We do power of attorneys, which allow our national service officers to go into the VA and look at their medical record. And because a lot of vets are already in the system, they just don't know they have other benefits. Because as a disabled veteran, we're rated from 0% to 100%. Now, at 0, you get no money, but you're cared for what your problem is. You get, if you're taking medication for it, you get all that free. If you wear knee braces, different kind of clothing, different kind of creams, all those are benefits we earned, and we should rightfully get it. And our job as service officers is to help those veterans facilitate that and
receive that.
Yes.
Yeah, they have to receive that. How long does someone have to wait before they are okayed to receive services or financial assistance?
Usually in today's military, you have people processing out, and you actually have an exit physical. A lot of us didn't have physicals at our time. You know, your UA date came up, you were given your date that this is, hey, you're done, you're gone,
yeah.
and you signed your papers and you went home. You were happy to get away for a lot of folks. But they have excellent programs. The Navy has a good one, the Air Force has a good one, but you see the medical team there, and you sit down and you discuss with the doctor everything's going on with you. And also a lot of these places, they have transition officers, and they sit there and they'll go over with you. They'll say, okay, you had a knee operation while you're in. Guess what? That is a disability that we can put you in for.
Oh, that
so
computes.
before you even leave the military, you can start your claim. That's how early it can happen.
Really?
And then you got veterans that come to us today that are Vietnam vets. They've been out 50 years.
Vietnam, yeah.
And a lot of them are retiring now, so they just they want to supplement their healthcare income.
Sure.
So I get a call, hey, yeah, I just retired, and can I get my medications from the VA? Sure, you can. You know, it's $9, anywhere from, I think it's $6, $7, and $9. Depends on what the medication is, what it's for. You bring that medication, your prescription from your civilian doctor, you bring it to the VA, you get registered, you're in the system, you tell them, hey, I'm having trouble with my eyes or my hearing. You'll get set up with an appointment. You go right in. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks to get everything going. And then if you have a disability, disabilities can take as little as 24 hours to get established. Now that would be someone who's severely injured, a catastrophic injury we call it, or it could take up to a year. We have been tasked by Secretary Wilkie VA Secretary Wilkie to turn our claims around in 125 days or less. Wow. Now, if you have what we consider a fully developed claim, that's you come to me and you see me, you follow what I ask you when we're on the phone, bring me a DD-214, bring me anything that's pertinent to what you're saying is your claim. You bring all that with me, we fill out a 526, we submit that paperwork down to the regional office in Chicago. They get it in about 2 weeks, they're in your record, they're looking at everything. Everything takes time, it's government, you know. And then you get a call to go for your compensation and PIN physical, if you require one. If there's enough medical evidence, sometime they can award your disability without bringing you in for an exam. Most vets go through the program. You go in and say if it's an orthopedic issue, they go in and get an x-ray, they see what the damage is, you know, and then, you know, within that 125 days, we work with VA, we try to get that turned around, get the award for the disability payment, and then you'll receive a disability payment monthly. If it's a service-connected disability, it's tax-free. If it's a non-service-connected disability, it is a taxable income. But it's still, like, if it's a 10% disability, that's $144 and change. Service-connected, there's no tax out of it. Non-service-connected is taxed.
You know, because a lot of the vets don't know, Scott, they are entitled to this. They either are frightened away by some fast-talking guy who just wants to get them, you know, get away from me, kid, you bother me, you know, like that.
Yes.
Because when they do gather up enough, you know, gumption to go and talk to someone, you get somebody on the other side of that, you know, desk that just is in the wrong place at the wrong time and turns down this kid or whatever, you know, from getting his well-deserved disability, and they go away like they were assaulted again. Yes. How many times can someone, a veteran, combat veteran, be able to handle something like this and then not go home and sulk or be, you know, hysterical at anybody who is trying to help them?
Yeah, or something worse. I had a veteran that came to me, and he was a reservist for 20 years. At one time, reservists and National Guardsmen were considered non-veterans in the VA facility, not DAV's rules, VA's rules. If you weren't active duty, it didn't count. Well, this year that we've been in, or this war we've been in for almost 20 years now, most of your soldiers that are fighting this are what we call citizen soldiers. They're National Guardsmen or reservists.
But they're fighting an active war.
They are fighting an active war. While they are in theater and they've been called up, they have a workup period. They call it a workup period, so they go through all the physicals and everything, make sure they're physically fit to go fight this war or to be deployed. Because not all of them go to a combat zone. You know, it depends what the need of the military is. But they'll go in and say they're on active duty for 13 months. That you were active duty 13 months. Let's say that individual was working inside the green zone, as they call it, and tripped and fell and broke their ankle. That's an injury. That's a service-connected injury because it happened while you're on active duty. So you can apply for that. Because you know, you have a break. Sometimes you got to be repaired with rods and pins. Surgery is required to fix it. This one gentleman, he came to me and he kept telling me, and his wife said, "Listen to this guy. He sounds like he knows what he's saying." So I got him in, and we had to go through the program. We go over to the VA. We sit down together, and I'm having to keep a hand on his knee because he's angry. He already knows what the answer is going to be.
See?
You know, they're going to deny him. "Oh, you're a reservist. You have nothing."
Reservist.
Not so true. And so we let them go through their whole spiel, and I'm like patting him, you know, calming him down. So at the end of the spiel, I said, talked to the young lady. I said, "Ma'am, could we see your supervisor, please?" Supervisor came out and he said, "What's the problem?" I introduced myself as his service officer, and I says, "Now he has active duty. He was being worked up. They found out he had a problem with his heart. He was left on active duty for 14 months. Ended up having a problem with his heart. We got him rated. Like you said, you have the clerk on that desk. They do their best. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're really hard workers, but a lot of them, they're overwhelmed. You see 30, 40 vets a day. Now, each one of us that come in there, we ain't happy.
Yeah.
Because we've been abused, we've been told no, we've been said this, we've been lied to, and then, by that time, either they give up and walk out, or it's really weird. I get calls from veterans all the time, and they'll tell me, "Hey, so-and-so told me to call you. You help them. Can you help me?" Yeah, we can help you. Nothing we do is guaranteed. I sit down with a veteran. We look at the simple things. If you're injured in the line of duty and everything is there, we put your claim in. Nine times out of 10, your claim is going to go through. We just have so many veterans that have been, lied to when they first get out. They come home, they talk to some guy, or they're told, "Hey, report to your VA," because that's what they tell us. And
it's overwhelming.
And it's a scary place that you walk into.
It's overwhelming.
And nobody wants to listen to you.
They don't. Yeah. They don't want to hear your story.
They don't want to hear it.
And this is their job. Their job is to give everybody equal time to hear them out what they've done. If they've been overseas, they're a combat veteran. They've suffered the slings and arrows that war, bestows upon them. Somebody's got to hear them. I mean, there's nobody there for them to relieve this stress that they are carrying around with them.
True. Very true.
I don't know what else to say except don't give up. And like you said, ask to speak to a supervisor. Find someone, contact you, which is a good idea right now.
Yeah.
Let's give them the number, kid.
All right, you can reach me at my phone number in my office at 708-786-7729. I am in my office from 6:30 to 3 every day. I do have health problems myself, so I'm in and out of the office. My email is Scott, SCOTT.Bitner, BITNER, @VA, that's VictorAlpha.gov, GOV. Leave me a message, say you're wanting to work on a claim. I will get back to you, I promise.
Yeah, and so they come in. See, if they come in alone, I mean, they're a lost soul.
Yes.
But if they come in with you, I mean, you're the armament that they need to be able to get the job done for them. And they could have been floundering around for years.
Oh, definitely.
And until they finally got up enough courage to say, I'm owed this. I've served my country, and I have this difficulty, and I need some assistance, and someone needs to help me. A family doesn't know how to handle this, and military needs to know how to handle this because you guys are the ones that took them and put them overseas, so they need the help. They need the help.
Yeah, they need the reentry help.
They absolutely. Yeah. Why isn't there a bureau or a area for reentry into civilization?
That I can't honestly answer. Like I say, it has gotten better over the years. Each branch kind of works at their own way. I've noticed because I'll talk with Army vets, Marine vets, Air Force, Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have these transition service officers, they call them. They're right there when you're filing your paperwork to leave. And again, if the group has it there, they also invite service officers in, like myself, from the other organizations, and they'll be sitting there waiting. And as you come down the gauntlet, if you will, hey, there's a service rep there. You need to sit down and talk with them. They'll start your claim right then for you. By the time you process out and get home, you may be lucky enough to have a check already starting. But it's very important, wherever you may be moving to, you give that address to the VA where you're going to be, because they track us by our Social Security number and our address once we leave. In the military, you're known by your last name a lot. And the same thing in the VA, your last name, last four. And so that kind of never changes. So it's something that, we all ask that question. What can we do to make this better? Us in DAV, we have mobile service offices that we roll out throughout the country, the state of Illinois, because that's who we are. The mobile service office will be down in southern states in April, which is coming right around. What that is, there's an NSO on board, and then when they pull into the area where they're going to service, let's say if it's in Marion, Illinois, they've already have these dates are set and everything, and you can look on dav.org for that information for MSO dates and times. And what it does is they'll bring that office out to the veterans in that community, especially rural communities.
Oh.
So there's an NSO on board. He has a computer and everything. And then the chapter, like in our case, the chapters that are in the area, will set up tables and everything. We'll sometimes have, depends on the season, we'll grill hamburgers, that kind of stuff. That way the folks that come in, they bring their paperwork in. Widows will come in, wives, kids. Hey, my dad was in, I wanted to know if we could do this. Or they'll bring a vet, like, when we give them enough notice that it's coming.
Bring them,
Hey, bring them out, and we just make it like as comfortable as we can, because all veterans are different in their mindset. When they left the military, they just wanted to leave and they were done with it. Some of them, it's taken our Vietnam vets 50 years to come see us. And, they'll tell us, well, I'm retiring from my job and I just want to supplement my health care in a little bit. Yeah, that's what we do. And hey, by the way, I had a Purple Heart or I was wounded. Hey, guess what? You have a disability claim we can put in for you. It's that simple.
Why? But
it really is.
Why is Illinois so critical on our veterans? Not any of the other states are as, I want to say mean. Why is Illinois so that way? I don't understand. These are young men and women that went overseas into combat and did the job that they had to do, but the stress and emotion of bombs going off and people being shot in front of their eyes, this is something that is not an everyday occurrence. Right. Living in a suburb, now Chicago probably, that's a whole nother story. But when you're in a suburb, you're not expected to see somebody gunned down right in front of you. But Illinois does not seem to be as compassionate and understanding as other states are. Why is that?
Well, I think I don't think it's just Illinois. I think it's a lot of the same stuff in the states. You got to understand the system that the VA uses, and I'm not blaming the VA. It's a 75-year-old system, and you may say, "Well, what do you mean?"
Yeah.
How long ago was World War II? That system is still in place in a lot of states. Okay, those regulations. So you have these vets coming home today. We have veterans in.
It's a different war, though.
Yeah, it's different wars, right? But you got veterans coming home today that are quadriplegics. All four limbs are gone, and they're living, and they're thriving. They're doing well. This wouldn't have happened 75 years ago.
They would have died.
If a World War II vet would have gotten blown up to the extent of some of these youngsters today. You lose four limbs, you're going to bleed out and die.
Yeah.
That's how good our combat medics are today. They're excellent. We can get kids out of the combat zone back to a forward operating base that has a hospital, trauma team. They can patch this kid up, get them home, go over to Germany or someplace of that nature, get them stabilized, get them back to the States.
It's like a MASH unit.
Yeah, they're like a MASH unit, and they can live. Korea was one of the biggest changes in how we cared for our veterans. We brought helicopters into Korea, right?
Yeah.
We were flying kids out of the combat zone. You see it. You watch MASH every day. You see that. That's where that all started.
Yeah.
You've got a hospital 4 miles from the front. People are surviving. Vietnam, same way. We could helo lift them out as soon as they got hit. They could helo them out. they were surviving. They go out to a hospital ship and then make their way back to the States. This war today, you've got combat-ready medic teams
there.
2 miles
Yeah.
from the front. You know, these combat medics are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends of them that are at Hines VA. They are now RNs, some are PAs, some are doctors. Our military receives some of the best medical training in around. Matter of fact, not every hospital, but 70% of all physicians that are out in practicing, they've came through the VA system. They've trained at our VA facilities, and you know, it's class stuff.
Well, you know, it's a class act. That's just you know, for sure, but it's not necessarily the VA that I speak of. It's just the politicians, so to say, that they don't care about these men and women that have served. They're you know, the lowest thing that they can imagine on the totem pole when they're fighting for their freedom to be able to spew whatever they're spewing out of their mouth as a politician, and they're not giving credit to the veterans that truly lay their life on the line. And I watched on cable TV today of the young man that received posthumously the Congressional Medal of Honor, and his mother and father were there. His dad was a Vietnam vet, and his son, you know, received the award for his father. But it took 12 years. Why does it take 12 years?
Yeah, that's Washington red tape. You have an incident, they do an incident report. This individual did something above and beyond to earn that medal or the Navy Cross or something of that.
That's right.
You know, they have to get all the facts straight. They have to do all the, you know, they've got to look at so many reports. They have to talk to so many people, make sure that this is true. This actually happened this way. Before they even consider that person for a Medal of Honor or an award.
The Congressional Medal of Honor. And it was incredible because this young man gave his life. He was, I think they said in Afghanistan, and they were checking some, you know, he told two of the guys to stop and they were going to check his car, and they could see he had his hand behind his back, and they noticed he was wearing a vest. So what does that lead you to believe?
Right.
And so he was with three other guys, the Army, the military, and so before he could do anything, he grabbed the guy around and threw him. They both went on the ground, and he set the suicide bomb off. So he lost his life, but saved three other guys in the interim from his crew, from his group. And that was in 2007.
Yeah.
2007. We are 12 years further along, and now they are giving him
they're recognizing finally. Matter of fact, they just awarded a living Vietnam Marine Corps veteran with a Medal of Honor just this week, I believe it was. And it just takes, you know, the paperwork gets lost. It's one of those things. Things get lost. They may have put a request in, and I know a couple of instances in the recent past that is exactly what happened. You know, somebody said, "Hey, wasn't so and so recommended for this medal?" And it just got somebody's interest sparked again, and so they look into it. You know, and
this young man was in the Marines, and then he got out, and they said he went to school, went to college for a couple of years, and then he re-enlisted, and he went back. How many tours he did? It was incredible.
Yeah.
And it came from Wyoming or Nebraska, you know, the Great North, and he said he liked being out because he in open territory because he was used to it.
Yeah.
He wasn't cityfied, so to speak.
Yeah.
He grew up in open land, open territory, so he knew what to look for, what not to look for, and so this was he did what he did the best, and Master Sergeant, and but my heart was just so broken to see and to hear that that's the best that we could do for him.
Yeah.
12 years later, and he left a wife and children. The young man that accepted for his father is now 23.
Oh, wow.
He was 11 years old at the
just
time.
a kid himself.
Yeah, a kid. So, I'm angered at the fact that the veterans in Illinois, I don't know any other state because we live here, but in Illinois is not as active to protect the rights of the veteran and treat them with the respect that they're entitled to, instead of just giving them, the side of their mouth and shooing them on for something else. Do they not understand what these men and women have been through?
Well, we all have our own thoughts on that. Here in Illinois, for me anyway, I'm a transplant from Indiana, and but I've lived here longer than I have lived anywhere. For me anyway, we know Chicago politics, as they call them. Veterans sometimes don't matter unless it's Veterans Day or it's election time. Because
that's when the potholes get fixed in the street. Okay.
And they what does a politician do? They surround themselves with veterans on those particular days to show, hey, the veterans support us, which we do support a lot of our elected officials, but we also need that support in return. And when Governor Rauner was in office, he did a great thing for us. Him and I'm not a political person. President Obama, he signed the Veterans Act for Camp Lejeune veterans and their families. Camp Lejeune was North Carolina. Marines, sailors, civilians, and dependents were poisoned with water down there from 1953 to 1987, I believe it was. Chemicals were going into the water supply, and there are 15 illnesses that came out of that, unfortunately. And if a lot of them are, a lot of the civilians have them. Like myself, I have bladder cancer currently, and I have a liver problem from the water. I'm compensated from it, from there. And President Obama did that. He did 8 presumptive, not him, the 8 presumptive items, rather. What he did was the 30 days at the base. And if you were Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, whatever, if you were there 30 days and you come up with one of these illnesses, you can apply for it, which is a wonderful thing. Going back to Governor Rauner, when he was in office, disabled veterans in the state of Illinois, as you said, we've suffered quite a bit over the years. They've always had a thing in there. It's called the Homestead Act for us. If you're a homeowner, you get a little bit of break on your property taxes. And some civilians don't know this, and the civilians that do know it, it kind of upsets them. If you're rated between, apologize.
Not a problem.
Trying to start at the lower end. If you're rated at 30 to 40%, you get a $2,500 abatement on your property tax. It's not the full $2,500. It's about $470 that's deducted. If you're rated at 50 to 60%, it's a $5,000 abatement. So it's closer to 800 and something. If you're rated 70% to 100% disabled, you are property tax exempt in our state.
Property taxes are?
We don't pay, if you're rated at 70 to 100%. Your property tax exempt. it's a great thing for those folks that are living on budgets and stuff.
Oh, everybody lives on a budget, sure.
You know, everybody does, and that's why I say certain things they can do for us, because you have federal benefits under the VA, and then you have state benefits under the state. And Governor Rauner did take care of those things for us. We went down to the state fair. We have our state fair in August, and you have Veterans Day. I forget what day it is, but you go down there and he signs a bunch of bills. When he was in office that day, he was there. Just a great program that they had. Tons of folks there honoring the veterans. It was awesome. My first trip down there, I'd never been there. I was very surprised. And of course, there's a lot of politicians down there.
Oh, baby!
Of course, you know, because voting time's coming. But again, they were very interested. They talked to you. They actually listened to you. Now we have Governor Pritzker in office, and I had the privilege of going up to, we call it the North. It's up on Oak Park Avenue, and it's our nursing home that's being built now for the veterans in the North, because we have Quincy, Mantino, Anna, and there's one other one, I apologize. They're all further down south.
Okay.
And those are for veterans and their spouse. When it comes time, if you need that nursing home, you go through the protocol and the eligibility, and you can go into the nursing home. If you're still married, your spouse can go with you. And you know, there's a set dollar. I think the lowest minimum fee is a maintenance fee, they call it, it's $1,455 a month. Now that takes care of your medication, your health care, and your food. Now if you want a telephone or you want cable, that's a little bit extra. But you'll live in this nursing home basically until into time. If your spouse outlives you, she or he may remain there until the end of their time as well. So we're finally getting one up here in the north end. It was under a lot of scrutiny.
Really?
Money's come up missing. It's in Chicago. Not saying anything bad about Chicago politics, but
Chicago
a lot of
politics.
Money,
oh my goodness!
A lot of money was funneled. The building's set out rusting. They had to tear some of it down and redo it. We went to Governor Pritzker's topping party, they call it, and they had a bunch of dignitaries there, of course, with that. Our new Department of Illinois Veterans Affairs, she's currently acting. Her name is Linda Chapa-Lavia. She's an Army veteran, a wonderful person. She was there emceeing the whole thing. Governor Pritzker, several of the aldermen from that area, tons of veterans. The construction workers doing the job. What it is, we signed this big slab of cement. All of us that were there wanted to sign it. We could put anything on we wanted. Then they lift it with a crane. They set it on top of the elevator shaft. It's the last piece of the outside of the structure. That's why they call it a topping party. It was so interesting, and got to spend about 10 minutes with the new governor, and I had to giggle. There was an older veteran in front of me sitting, and he said, "Governor, are you going to run for a second term?" And I thought this was the most honest answer.
He just got in office.
Yeah, I've ever heard from any politician. He goes, "Dude, I've only been here 3 months. We got to get through this." And but he listened to us all. He talked to us all. And I thought that was just great. You know, he didn't have to. Senator Durbin was there, you know, like I said, some of the other folks. But it was just real nice that they actually talked to us. They spent some time with us. And it was a cold, rainy day. Oh. But we all enjoyed it. And the construction workers were just fantastic that were there. They did a great job. So, you know, I can say some things have gotten better. And that's why, you know, organizations like mine, you know, we try to make it better. This is our state. You know, this is what we're trying to do.
I'm telling you, you know, you want to hear what people have to say. I'm telling you that the input that I get is the buzz is that Illinois is not veteran friendly. Not veteran friendly. What can you do? You've got the know-how and the whoever, whatever, to make Illinois veteran friendly. These politicians that are in office, they don't know what they're talking about unless they've been to war. Yeah. You can't explain it to them. You can't read a book. Yeah. You can't see a diagram. If you're not on the ground and feeling that, you know, combustible going off and smelling that flame and that fire, you don't know what it is to be in combat. And they can espouse anything they want because they're politicians and they talk out of the left side and the right side. If you're in front, then you'll probably get some.
You might get a little something, yeah.
You could get something.
Yeah.
But if you can, direct some of their attention to, being more veteran friendly, more veteran understanding, more veteran caring, I think, it will run better. You can't run a ship if you don't know where you're going.
True. Yep.
So I don't know, Scott. Is the idea to vote these guys out of office and put somebody else in? Put some veterans in office?
This year, more veterans got into office, we've noticed, especially in Washington. We have what we call a winter mid conference that DAV and other organizations attend in Washington, and you actually get to talk to the lawmakers there. Sometimes you may not get them, you get their staff, but they do get back to you. For us locally, like we're out at Forest Park, our chapter. We go to town hall meetings with our local
that's smart.
Our local politicians in the area, and while we're there, it depends. It's usually an hour, maybe a little bit more, but at least they have an agenda. They want to hear from us. They want to know. I think I've been to 5 or 6 so far this year, and we're almost into April. Up by us, there's I don't talk their politics, but Representative Chris Welch. I met with him almost one-on-one just recently with another organization that is stepped up to help veterans. They're for the dyslexic. They help people with dyslexia. And super group of people. So it was just her and I that showed up there that day, the director of it, and so we basically had a one-on-one with the rep for almost a full hour of his time on a Saturday even, and we had our points we wanted to share. We both got our points out. We connected at a different level for things we're going to do, because we do have veterans who have dyslexia. They run into veterans trying to help veterans. Yeah. They are also linked with a group called Changing the World for Children, I believe it is, or Changing the World of Children. I have yet to talk with those folks, but they're getting a lot of veterans coming to them for help. And so for us, that's how we network with our constituents in the area, and our business is word of mouth. Somebody says, "Hey Scott, I heard you're the best at this." Yep. I don't consider myself the best, but if you have everything lined up that I ask you to do, I can't guarantee it, but your claim's going to go through.
It'll move quick.
My name comes up first when you look at DAV in Illinois, because Scott Bitner, last name. Yeah. So everybody's calling me, which is great, but that's how it works for us. And, if I hear something I can't handle, I push it up further up my chain of command to my National Service officers or whoever.
Is there an organization, or is there a group of veterans that people could connect with if they want to run for political office? I mean, these combat veterans, they've been overseas. They know from whence they come, and they can speak. And if they're running for office, and I mean, we've got a world of veterans here in Illinois.
Yeah, there's 25 million of us.
Great Lakes is just overwhelming. The hospital and everything up there.
Yeah.
And so if we've got someone who is a veteran, has a combat veteran, and is served their country honorably, and feels they want to make change because they can speak of the experience that they've had, and that's where the one-on-one comes in handy, because they know what you've been through.
Sure.
They've lived it. They know it. So if they want to run for office, is there any place that, or group that you could gather someone who...
I personally don't know of one. We do have in all of the the counties, we have what they call combined veterans groups. And what that is, it's veteran organizations, and it's members from each one of those that meet monthly like we do. And then you learn what you learn there, and you take it back to your prospective chapters or post, whatever it is you belong to. Like myself, I belong to VFW, American Legion, AMVETS, DAV, 100% DAV, because, I mean, this is where, what I do is voluntary. My job is volunteer for the DAV. I don't make any money, don't want to make any money doing it. My job is to educate people, whether it be the doctors who treat me, because when we first started with this Camp Lejeune stuff, that's our Agent Orange, and it took 40 years for our federal government to admit there was an Agent Orange problem. And I got to say that the VA got on this much quicker, so that was a good thing. But honestly, for that group, the only thing I could say is, a veteran in their local community, reach out to their local representative if they want to run for office, and talk to them one-on-one about that, because I'm not a politician. I don't know how that works, but at the town hall meetings, I think that might be a good place to start, because you can talk to them and say, hey, yeah, I'd like to run for office. This, what do I have to do? They're already in office, so that's a great person to start their
and if they've been overseas, they're a combat veteran, and they, really, it distresses me so to see these, well, I want to say young people, not, but they don't have any experience.
Right.
And so they want to make it on the backs of everybody else, when, if they would listen or understand, or, like I said, show a little more compassion to the veteran, the combat veteran that's been there, done that, has walked the walk and talked the talk. I think that would be immensely, helpful. And Illinois wouldn't get this bad rap.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's nothing like California. California is way out anyhow, but it's nothing like California. And it's something like New York, and it's something like anything else. Illinois just is not looked upon as friendly, veteran friendly. You have to fight your way tooth and nail. You're either ignored or just cast aside, and that's what makes for these very bad situations when these combat veterans come back and they want to commit suicide because no one is listening.
Nobody listening. Yeah, like I say, I don't think it's just regulated to our state. Because everybody's got their issues. We go to national conventions every year. All groups do, and at that time you're meeting with the other states, and you talk with their representatives, other commanders, other adjutants, those types of things. And we'll be going to Orlando, Florida this year for ours. So I'm real excited because this will be actually my second national convention. I went to the one we had in Chicago back in the 90s, but this one is a whole different story because being a department commander, it's pretty cool because for me anyway, because I'm going to meet some other folks that are like-minded and stuff, and we can talk and see. We talk with other veterans in our other states, and they have their problems as well. Some are not. Illinois years ago used to have a problem. Our veterans getting their ratings were very low. We're not the 50th state anymore. I can't tell you the exact location where we're at up 1 through 50, but we're much higher than we used to be. And again, it's based off that old system. You got politicians who've been in office; they made a career of it.
We need
to go to an 8-year term for everybody. If
term
it's good
limits.
enough for the president, it's good enough for every elected
better
official,
believe it.
state, federal,
term
county
limits.
Term limits. That way you're
right.
turning over like shark's teeth. You're
the,
getting fresh
and you get
people in there.
new ideas, fresh ideas.
Exactly.
If they want to help, they can help, but not to be in the office, because they just run the same thing over and over again, and they figure if it's run this way for so many years,
why change it?
Yeah, why change it?
In Illinois, we know they don't
in
change
Illinois,
a whole lot.
They don't change.
They don't change a whole
squat.
lot. Yeah.
A whole lot would be a lot.
Would be a lot. Yeah.
But nothing. And term limits, because
I think that's a big key. I really do.
I'm telling you, whatever I could do to help veterans get into office, I would gladly do, because no one is listening. I'm the mother of 2 combat veterans. My husband is a veteran, Navy Air Force, but he wasn't overseas. We were getting married then. That was Vietnam era.
Right.
And so I've got 3 veterans in the house, and I'd like some, respect and understanding for what they've been through. I mean, David crawled on the ground. He was infantry, Army, and Randy was on board ship, and my husband was in the air. He was a navigator. So,
right, they had it all covered.
Yeah, we had all air, sea, ground, whatever.
There you go, yeah.
So both my brothers were Navy. I mean, we come from a military family.
That's
so,
great, yeah.
So I'm just, why aren't they listening? We've been through how many generations already, and I'm still not seeing Illinois come to the front and say, whoa, this is what we're going to do for our veterans. We're going to do whatever you need, but I mean, we're going to do this.
Right.
Make it headlines, because Illinois gets a very bad rap on its care and its concern for combat veterans.
Yeah.
Very bad rap.
Yeah, there's all kinds of issues, and it is sad that it's the way it is. We veterans aren't anybody special. We're a very small amount of the human.
You're a select group.
The select group that served.
You sure are.
Most of us, for the most part, are volunteers, except for those who got drafted. So you kind of know what you're getting into when you go. A lot of us do it for service to others. I mean, that's
right.
That's one of the reasons I did it. I grew up in Indiana, Catholic family. My dad was a big JFK supporter. My dad's Marine. His brother's all military. I have several family members that are military. We have members all the way back to the beginning of when our ancestors came to the United States, and have participated in every conflict there's been. And I think, not everybody's cut out to be a politician. That's one thing. You go into service, you serve. It teaches you a set of skills that you can use the rest of your life, and you move along. I have a lot of friends asking me to run for different office. That's not me. I'm a grunt. I want to do things on the ground like I am now. My job is to educate, like I've said, and the more I can get it out there, there's always somebody else that's geared better than me to be a public speaker and be out there, run for that office. I mean, I don't have that desire, but my way of doing it is like I'm being on your show this evening, and I greatly appreciate this opportunity, and it's just making people aware of what we have, where we're at, what we can do, what we can help you do.
And to better them.
And to better them. Because you served, the individual served, so they earned certain rights, right? This goes back to President Lincoln with his motto, care for the veteran, care for the widow, and care for the children.
Yeah.
That's the VA's motto. There's a little more to it, but that's the realization of this. And when did all that start? During the Civil War time, which was how many years ago? 180 plus, I guess. But
and I feel like it is.
But this has been an ongoing thing, and all these years. And one of our oldest veterans' home in this state is Quincy, and we all know that's been in the news a lot for several different things, not good. But between Rauner's administration and Pritzker's administration, they're changing things. They've purchased a nursing home that's locally down there. They've got it rehabbed. Now, you got to understand, those are state-ran facilities. VA does certain things with them. There is some funding, but it's a state-ran facility. So if the state isn't taking care of the veterans, I mean, that's one thing right there. You can see it. But again, they're tearing down all buildings except for 2 down there because they're landmark status. So everything down there is going to be rebuilt, the water system, the buildings, everything. I don't exactly know when all that'll come to light, but it has started. Rauner and his administration, he was down there, like him or not. Pritzker's been there several times, and we can see that things have changed because, we have DAV members in that area. They make reports on us. They tell us what they're doing. You got to be a watchdog. If you have a cause that's close to your heart, just be its watchdog. Keep squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's right.
And you poke that politician. Say, hey, remember what you said when you were up there on that podium? A
lot of them don't. They don't remember.
Exactly.
They don't
remember. Yeah,
they don't remember.
That's our thing. Is you and a lot of the other thing is folks like yourself. You're the mother of 2 veterans and a husband. You're a big advocate yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hey, talk it up wherever you go, whatever you do in life. Talk it up.
I'm doing the best I can. I hate to see these. Veterans coming back and they don't know where to go or who to see. Scott, give your number out again so they can...
Sure. My number in my office is 708-786-7729. I'm in the office from 6:30 to 3 daily, 5 days a week. You can leave a message. I will call you back. Or you can email me at scott, SCOTT, .Bitner, BITNER, @va.gov.
And you are the department commander for the Disabled American Veterans.
Correct. It's a 2-year post that we are elected to. And
so anyone coming back or anyone from any theater of war, if they're having a problem and they've never gone or are in need of something or someone turned them down, if they contact you, they will be able to get whatever situation taken care of. Maybe it could be as easy as just saying something to some other person, but these veterans don't know how to do that.
Exactly. We start the ball rolling for them. Yeah. And a veteran is a veteran, no matter when you served, where you served.
A veteran is a veteran.
A veteran's a veteran, and we get you in, and we'll try to make it right and get you started on the right path.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy you came this evening.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Beverly. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This hour has gone so quickly.
It has, yes.
Program number 2 coming up.
Okay, yeah, I'm on board.
Okay,
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for allowing us in your home or your place of business. We certainly thank you for watching our programs. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Scott at 708-786-7729, Disabled American Veterans. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening, a very safe week, and see you next time on North Shore Live, Cooper's Corner. Good evening.